The bright studio lights blazed down on the political debate stage as tension filled the air like electricity before a storm. Kellyanne Conway, former White House counselor and political veteran, sat across from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, her face already flushed with barely contained rage. What happened in the next 30 seconds would shock millions of viewers and create one of the most talked about political moments of the year. Before we dive into this incredible showdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss these explosive political moments that everyone's talking about. Conway had been building up steam for minutes, her voice getting louder and her gestures more dramatic. But nothing prepared the audience for what came next. In a moment that would be replayed millions of times across social media, Conway suddenly slammed her hand on the desk and screamed at the top of her lungs, "You have no idea what you're talking about, Congresswoman." Conway's voice cracked as she pointed an accusatory finger directly at Crockett. "You're a disgrace to Congress and everything this country stands for." The entire studio fell silent. Camera operators zoomed in to capture every detail of this explosive moment. Audience members gasped audibly. Even the veteran moderator looked stunned by the sudden outburst. This wasn't just political disagreement. This was something much more personal and intense. But what happened next would surprise everyone even more. Instead of firing back with equal anger, instead of matching Conway's screaming with her own heated response, Jasmine Crockett did something completely unexpected. She sat perfectly still, maintained her composure, and waited for the perfect moment to deliver a response that would go down in political history. The camera captured it all. Conway's red face, her trembling hands, her wild eyes. And then it panned to Crockett, sitting calmly with her hands folded, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. The contrast was striking and would soon become the defining image of this confrontation. To understand why this moment was so explosive, you need to know the history between these two powerful women. Kellyanne Conway had built her reputation as one of the most fierce political operatives in Washington. As a former presidential campaign manager and White House counselor, she was known for her aggressive debate style and her ability to dominate any conversation. At 57 years old, Conway had decades of experience in the political arena and rarely met an opponent she couldn't intimidate or overwhelm. Conway came from humble beginnings in New Jersey, working her way up through the ranks of Republican politics through sheer determination and an almost ruthless approach to political combat. She had survived countless media battles, congressional hearings, and high-stakes political negotiations. Her reputation was built on never backing down, never showing weakness, and always having the last word. On the other side sat Jasmine Crockett, a 43-year-old congresswoman from Texas who had taken Washington by storm since her election. Unlike Conway's bombastic style, Crockett was known for her measured responses and her ability to stay calm under pressure. A former civil rights attorney, she had built her career on methodical preparation and strategic thinking rather than loud confrontation. Crockett had grown up in a working-class family and worked her way through law school while supporting her younger siblings. Her background as a defense attorney had taught her to stay calm in high-pressure situations and to let her opponents make mistakes while she waited for the perfect moment to strike. She was relatively new to national politics but had already made a name for herself with several viral moments where she calmly dismantled opponents who underestimated her. The stakes of this confrontation couldn't be higher. This wasn't just any random political debate. This was a nationally televised discussion about voting rights legislation that would affect millions of Americans. Conway represented the old guard of Republican politics, aggressive, uncompromising, and willing to do whatever it took to win. Crockett represented a new generation of Democratic leaders who preferred to use facts and calm reasoning over shouting matches. The tension had been building throughout the program. Conway had been interrupting Crockett repeatedly, making personal attacks, and growing visibly frustrated that her usual intimidation tactics weren't working. Crockett, for her part, had remained professional and factual, which only seemed to make Conway angrier. What viewers didn't know was that this confrontation had been brewing for weeks. Conway had made several public statements questioning Crockett's qualifications and intelligence, clearly expecting the Congresswoman to be an easy target. Crockett had largely ignored these attacks, focusing instead on her legislative work and committee responsibilities. But now, on live television in front of millions of viewers, Conway had finally exploded. And Crockett was ready with a response that would change everything. The build-up to Conway's explosive outburst had been brewing throughout the entire program. From the moment both women walked onto the set, viewers could sense the tension in the air. Conway had arrived with her usual confidence, expecting to dominate the conversation, as she had done countless times before. She wore her signature sharp business suit and carried herself with the authority of someone who had spent years at the highest levels of political power. Crockett entered more quietly, dressed professionally, but without the flashy accessories that Conway favored. She carried a simple folder of notes and spoke briefly with the production staff before taking her seat. The contrast in their approaches was immediately apparent to anyone paying attention. The first few minutes